This is how I created my dream office built-in. So I had all of this stuff delivered from Lowe's. These are 24-inch base cabinets and then 12-inch upper cabinets, butcher block, a shelf, and this is beaded board. Just as a disclaimer, I want to say this is not my first time to use a saw. I've used one many times, but I ended up having to buy my own because I've always used my dad's in the past. So the first thing I did was I cut off the bottom 4 inches of all the base cabinets, because base cabinets are pre-made for kitchen counter height, which is actually 6 inches higher than a desk height. And so in the end, the desk is a couple inches higher than a standard desk height. But because my office chair is adjustable, it ends up working out perfectly. So I just cut off each side of the base cabinets and drug them into the office. Then when I got them in there, I realized that the cabinets were going to be covering the outlet in the wall on both sides. So I cut a square hole in the back of the cabinets so that I can still use the outlet for all of my chargers and my printer. To cut that hole, I did use a smaller skill saw, and for the top of the desk, we used an 8-foot unfinished butcher block. It was exactly 8 foot in here. We actually scraped off part of the wall to get it in, and all I had to cut was a little piece where the trim was gonna go.
It don't fit like that, it's just gonna be really tight.
Don't break it.
It's hard to break it.
I guess the answer of if we need to glue it is absolutely not.
It's stuck, it ain't going nowhere.
Because we'll never get it out of here. Okay, so let's get the uppers. And here's what I'm thinking is, like, they really do have to both go on the same side because it looked really weird with one on one side and one on the other. No. So that's one option. Or take that one down and put it on that side. And then I have that big board that's gonna go. See, I just don't think that looks very good. Like that. I don't like that. What do you think? That piece to like stretch across the top, and it was gonna go across both of those, but we can just use brackets on the left side, on the right side.
Oh, you want to go across here?
It's exactly 8 feet. We may have to cut a tiny bit off of it too. So after I decided how I wanted the upper cabinets to look, I secured them into the wall just with like 2-inch screws into the studs and just stacked one on top of the other. These cabinets are about 24 inches tall each. Since originally I'd planned to put them on either side, I think I probably could have just got one tall cabinet that would go over here, but I already had these two, so I just kept them.
Now the stud is over there.
It's in the very corner.
So we'll be screw this in up there. Let's first of all just get it up there.
Look at
I don't want my... Wait, let's not scrape the wall.
I'm trying to get in the middle so I can get up on both sides.
Get out of the middle! You're gonna break it. No, don't break it on me. I'm trying to get up there. Oh, I don't need to. Perfect. Better.
I'll put another one in there.
It'd be easier if you held it. Because I'm on my tiptoes. I can't really be secure.
Oh!
After the first day and getting everything up, I realized that it looked imbalanced and I didn't like that the right side was totally empty. So I went back to the hardware store and I got some lumber to create a little bookshelf on the right side. Obviously, I wanted the backing to be beaded board, so I cut it all to size and then used brad nails and trim nails to secure it. Pro tip, if you're going to do a project like this, you really do need a trim gun. I wish I had just bitten the bullet and bought one, but I didn't, so it took me way longer than it should have to secure the beaded board. This butcher block was unfinished, but it was a little bit rough on the top, so I just did a really, really light sand to make it smooth and pretty before I went in to stain it. I also had a leftover 4-foot butcher block from when I built my house, and I decided to use it to create the open shelves that were going to be a part of the bookshelf. And so I cut those to be 18 inches wide each and about 12 inches deep because I was using 1x12s to create the bookshelf. So when you buy like pre-built cabinets like this, they don't come finished on the side. So I did buy the little panels that were made to be on the side and finish those cabinets out. Now, I've never used a jig cutter before, but it was actually really simple, and you just basically are able to drill pocket hole screws into any type of wood up to 1.5 inch thickness. And so this was how I secured the open shelves and the bookshelf into each other and on that wall basically. So it was really simple. The instructions were really easy to follow, and I just used my drill to screw those holes in, and then they came with pocket screws, and I also bought some pocket screws. So it was really simple to use. I did pocket hole screws right here along the bottom. I did have to have like obviously a helper for some of this, just because there were some things I was screwing in that I would have to have him hold it for me. Other than that, I was able to do most of it alone. I feel like I could have started just building the shelf and then putting the board on the top of it, but I had already done that part, and I secured that top board with a bracket into the wall. So it worked out. You couldn't see the bracket because the desk itself is over 8 feet tall. So at this point in the project, there's like a lot of imperfections, a lot of gaps and holes. It doesn't look perfect by any means, but this is when the trim nail gun would have come into handy, because I bought a bunch of trim pieces, like 1x2s, 1x3s, just honestly a multitude of them, so that I could see what would look best and make it look like the most finished out and not like a raw wood project. So on the top here, I did a 1x3 cut to size, and then on the shelf, I did 2 1x2s on the face front. Then I used 1x3s, and I used like little quarter round trim pieces to just fill in any other gaps that I felt like didn't look perfect. After filling in as much as I could with like trim and things like that, I went in with caulk and wood filler and just filled in any remaining holes, gaps like in the beaded board to make it look as finished as possible. We are on day 3 of this project. I think I'll finish today. I'm hoping. So after getting to day 3, I realized there was one more little thing I wanted to add, which was a little open shelf in the middle. I just felt like I wanted it just for decorative purposes, so I used a 1x4 and a 1x2, and then I used the jig cutter again just to create a little shelf. I used wood glue, and then I screwed it with the pocket screws to make it really secure. So after building my little shelf, I realized that I wanted to have a little easier access to my charging cords. So I used a 1.25 inch drill bit to drill holes in the side of the cabinet and in one in the top of the desk, which ended up being the perfect size. You can't actually see any of the cords when things are plugged in, so it looks really nice. The stain I'm using is the Minwax brand, but it's just a leftover one from when I built my house. It is a custom mixed color. I went into all the cabinet doors, removed them from the base, and then drilled holes for the cabinet pulls that were also left over from my home build, but they are on my Amazon storefront. I really like the color. It's kind of a burnished brass, and it kind of goes with everything. The paint color I'm using is the Sherwin Williams Velvet Chestnut. I fell in love with it when I first painted it on. I was a little unsure of the color tone, but I feel like it just has just enough warmth and color and richness, but not like something too bright that would just kind of bother my eyes when I'm in there trying to work and get things done. So overall, I really ended up loving the color combination of the stain and the paint. Last piece of construction was just installing this little shelf. I thought it was so cute, and it broke up like the big part that was all beaded board. I didn't bother trying to find any studs or anything because it's not going to hold anything more than a couple pictures. Then we just reattached the cabinet doors, and I attached the drawer pulls, and then I did one light coat of a matte sealing spray over all of the wood stain just to kind of give it a little extra protective coat. Honestly, when I started this project, I had no idea that it was going to take me 3 whole days, and that was with help. Although Justin was not there for most of it, he helped me a lot, and I may have taken me longer without him. But overall, it just turned out better than I could have expected. It's got all the storage that I could ever want and need. I would say the overall difficulty of this project on a scale of 1 to 10 was probably a 4 or 5. If you're comfortable using power tools, you can definitely do it, but you will need help on some parts just holding things up. And if it's as tall as mine, you'll need someone tall to help you with those screws at the very top. Y'all let me know in the comments if you have any questions or need clarification on anything, and please come back to my channel for more easy home DIYs.